Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now February 5th of 2025, and the Meghan Markle drama just keeps getting worse, especially within the month of February here, given that there's a lot of things going on between herself, the Netflix executives, her status within Hollywood, within the film industry, whatever have you. Everything is beginning to go downhill for her, after a lot of studios now are beginning to wake up and having this slow turn of the tide in response to this major cultural shift that we all witnessed a couple of months ago. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Meghan Markle is that yes, we know that she is by far one of the most unlikable personalities in the public eye. That is a certain thing. But the other thing is this, is that she is very self-absorbed, overly demanding, and very narcissistic in nature. And when you mix those three together, that's when you have a lot of moments within studios where she either loses roles or she gets very angry about losing said roles, but this is where it really goes out of hand. Now, one thing about Meghan Markle is that yes, we do know that this new series with Love Meghan, there are a lot of setbacks as we speak right now. There's a lot of failed test screenings, there are a lot of re-edits underway, they're cutting out footage, and that's just the beginning of everything. We'll have a lot more to talk about that in just a couple of days from now. However, when it comes down to, like I said before, within her status of Hollywood, this is where it is all going down in a downward spiral. We all know that everything is beginning to collapse for her, and she doesn't quite know how to cope with the fact that nobody in the US, the UK, anywhere in the world, they don't want to see her in the public eye anymore. So, with, of course, Meghan Markle and the drama continuing to get worse both behind the scenes and in the public eye, one monumental development going on now involves more to do with her behavior after getting blacklisted in the midst of the Netflix series with Love Meghan and that show backfiring. It turns out just days after Meghan was blacklisted by Sony Pictures after she was not just cancelled from a new horror movie, but also banned from obtaining any acting opportunity roles within Sony ever again. Another major factor now adding to the Meghan Markle drama with her blacklisting situation is that she is already actually warning the Sony executives and its CEO that she will be revealing what she labels as the dark truths of Sony engaging in discrimination. Already Meghan Markle is putting together a legal team against Sony Pictures after she was reportedly denied a role for this film in the early stages of development. Now, Markle's argument and her argumentative claim now, after getting blacklisted by Sony, is that she was denied a much larger role for this new horror film that is designed to compete against Scream 7 in 2026. Markle was offended over the fact that she got a small role that provided around 20 minutes of screen time. However, regardless, she was set to receive a payout of millions of dollars for the role, roughly, as it turns out, around $9 million to be correct. Now, Markle is already demanding the Sony executives to reinstate her role as soon as possible, or else she is going to not only take legal action, but also that she is going to expose and call out Sony for engaging in what she calls sexism, misogyny, as well as discrimination on multiple radio shows, podcasts, etc., etc. This is only one part of the pushback from Markle, however. She is also now demanding Sony that they write her character out of the film if they don't bring her back in the long run. Already the Sony executives actually refused to write her character out of the film. Meghan reportedly is having serious problems and issues with the recast now in play over at Sony for this new horror film that is going to be played by a younger actress and a younger unknown actress in her early 20s instead. Meghan claimed that Sony is doing this out of spite behind the scenes. Now guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about this. I don't think Meghan understands that this type of thing always happens in Hollywood, always happens in the film industry. One actress gets kicked out, another actress comes in the door, right? We all know that recasts happen all the time. This is nothing new, this is standard procedure, and she's acting like that this is all being done out of spite by Sony behind the scenes. Now, I have one thing to say about Sony. They've been making a lot of wrong choices lately, for sure, when it comes to their movies, especially with the Spider-Man spin-off films like Madam Web and Craven, and among others out there that have failed miserably, live-action-wise, alright? They really need to get back on their A-game and to do things properly and to do things that are going to attract the customer base and to create box office success points. This would have been a box office failure, I think, regardless of the fact that you have Meghan Markle on there as a side character. Doesn't matter how big or small her role would have been, I think it would have really caused a lot of people to not even want to see her in this movie at all, period, the end. But this is where it gets interesting, is that one thing about Sony is that we know that they're now trying to officially make a rebound, especially after engaging in many different projects that resulted in box office failures. So now they're trying to make a rebound, and they're trying to get into the horror game more so than ever before, because they want to go against movies like Scream 7, and among others that are coming out by different studios. So, this is where it gets interesting, is that where it stands now is that Sony is around the 4th or 5th studio in the film industry to have turned their back on Meghan Markle after learning not just about her Netflix issues, but also her behavior and overly demanding requests. As we talked about, HBO, Warner Brothers, etc. dropped her as well. The film, as of now, is facing a minor delay by a couple of months in 2026, and the Sony CEO made it clear to Meghan that they are not going to undo their decision of blacklisting Meghan Markle from the entire studio. The original plan by Sony was to have her appear, get this, in multiple films in the form of cameos and or small roles. All of those projects were instantly thrown off the table by the Sony board as of just a couple of days ago, as they do not want to work with Markle after learning about how unlikable she truly is. Even during early development, Meghan demanded that her character in the film would not meet her demise. So she did not want her character to be killed off in a movie that's centered on horror. Alright, you think about Friday the 13th, you think about A Nightmare on Elm Street, you think about movies like Scream, for example. Very big franchises. Pretty much nearly all the characters end up getting killed off. I think that this is also another standard thing in a horror movie that features, a group of actors and actresses playing different roles. That's typically what happens, usually, So, we all know that Meghan Markle doesn't quite know how genres work. She doesn't quite know how the film industry works, especially with the procedure of recasting roles. She clearly doesn't have a clue about that. And the other thing is that now she's not only making legal warnings, but she's also warning of exposing Sony for engaging in discrimination, sexism, misogyny. I mean, this is the typical robotic response by Meghan Markle over and over again. It's like so tiresome at this point, because she just does the same exact thing with any other point that is not in alignment with hers. Now, that's exactly how Rachel Zegler acts. That's exactly how, among other actors and or actresses, act within the actual film industry. So it's not a shocker, really. I mean, if you even want to call Meghan Markle an actress at this point is quite damn questionable, because her last serious and real role was on Suits years and years ago, and even that, in the entirety of things, was a small role if we bundle all the screen time together. But overall, I mean, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Markle's blacklisting situation over at Sony, and how more and more studios are rapidly beginning to realize that she is not just box office poison, but she is a overly demanding actress that really can set you back and really act as an anchor in the production, So anyway, I would like to hear what you all have to say about that below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.